So if you have WE employees, go ahead and close it and open up WE Emp relationships. And you might want to take a brief moment to look at your tables and become familiar with the fields, because we are going to be relating the tables, which connects them so they can share data. And in order to share data, there has to be one field that the tables have in common. So one field that is duplicated. So if we look at employees and departments, you'll notice there's a department ID in departments, and there's also an department ID in employees. So we can connect the tables based on that one field. If we look at benefits and employees, you'll notice that they both have employee ID. So we can connect the tables based on that field. And then if we look at absences, you'll notice that also has employee ID. So we can connect absences and employees based on that employee ID field as well. So we're going to close. I'm going to choose close all, because to create relationships among your tables, the tables have to be closed. Basically, everything has to be closed. So if you've got forms and reports, if you've got anything else open, close everything. Go into database tools and go into relationships. Now, when you first come in here, you are going to see this show table window. And if you don't see it, you can click on the button. And there's 3 tables we're going to add. Now, to add a table, you either double click or you single click and click on add. And we need to add absences, employees, and benefits. Now, if you add a table twice, not a big deal. Okay, we're going to close the show table window. If you have an extra table, you just right click on it and choose hide. If you need to reorganize the tables, you point to the name and you can left drag and move it. And I normally resize these so I can see all of the fields. And the way you connect the tables is you take the field from the primary or the one table and you left drag it to that same field that is in your related table. Now, how do you figure out what the one table is and what the related table is? Typically, if the field you're connecting on is a primary key in a table, and that same field is in another table, but it's not the primary key. The table where it's the primary key is the one table, and the table you're connecting to is the many table. And you always go from one to many. So we're going to point to employee ID in our employee table. We're going to left drag, and we're going to point right at employee ID in absences. And then we're going to release, and we're going to get a little edit relationship window. First thing you want to check is to make sure you have the right fields. So in our case, both of them should say employee ID. And at the bottom, it's got the relationship type as one to many. That is correct. One employee can have many absences. Okay, so at this point, everything looks good. We're going to turn on these integrity rules, and I'm going to explain what they do. Enforced referential integrity means that I cannot enter an absence unless the employee exists in the employee table. So basically, I can't enter bogus absences for non-existent employees. Cascade update related fields means if the employee ID changes in the employee table, it's automatically going to change in absences. So that keeps them in sync, and that is what you want. Cascade delete related records means that if I remove an employee, I will automatically have all the absences removed as well. Okay, that'll happen automatically. I won't have to worry about manually removing that. Okay, because if the employee doesn't exist, they cannot have absences. So at this point, I've turned on all of my rules to ensure the data is accurate. I've checked my relationship, and I'm going to click on Create. What you're going to see is a join line, and there'll be a 1 next to your 1 field and a infinity sign next to the many. Okay, and this is what a one-to-many relationship looks like. So at this point, what we're going to do is save our changes. And they would like us to add another table, even though we're not going to do anything with the relationship quite yet. We're going to click on Show Table, and we'll double click on Departments, and we're going to close. And I'm just going to move Departments over here. And then I'm going to save my changes to my relationship window. And let's see, looks like they do have us relating departments and employees, but we're not going to turn on the integrity rules yet. So let's talk a little bit about departments and employees. One department can have multiple employees, and we're going to relate based on department ID. So our 1 table is going to be departments. The related table is going to be employees. So we're going to start with department ID in our 1 table, and we're going to drag to department ID in the employee table, and then we're going to release. That is going to give us a one-to-many relationship, and at this point, we're going to wait to turn on these rules. So we're just going to click Create. And because we didn't turn on those rules, we aren't seeing the one-to-many. We're seeing that they're joined, they're connected, but we are not going to see the one-to-many until we actually turn on those rules. And we'll be doing that a little later. For right now, we're going to save, and we're going to close. Now, they want us to enter a bogus record in absences, so you can see that those integrity rules actually work. So we're going to come down here, and we don't need to enter an ID because that's automatically generated. So we're going to enter a record for employee 1099. This employee does not exist. And we're going to enter a date. And we'll just leave it on sick, and I'm going to press enter. And because we turned those integrity rules on, we are getting an error. Employee 1099 does not exist, therefore we cannot add an absence for that employee. So we're going to click OK, and then we're going to close absences. Now it's still going to be displaying this error. You cannot add or change because a related record is required. We're going to click OK. You cannot save the record. Basically, do you want to continue anyway, even though the record is going to be lost? I'm going to say yes. I know I can't add that record. Okay. So at this point, we have created the one-to-manys. The next video is going to show you how to remove a join between tables and how to edit a join.